Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cybersecurity recap. It's number 91 for Friday, October 1st, 2021. But Stefanie, welcome back from GSX.
Thank you, Chuck. How are you?
I'm doing good. Didn't get to go, but I think our virtual booth we had in the press room was very successful. What are your insights on GSX this year?
I thought it was a great show. I mean, obviously, none of us really expected full turnout this year with COVID and everything, and that's probably best, on a level. But I was just glad to see some people come out and that the show went on, right? The show
That's right.
must go on, and live to see another year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully it being a little bit more like normal next year. But it was nice to be able to see everyone.
Well, if you think about it one way, if you went, you wanted to be there. And if you went, some people took extraordinary lengths to get there. One guy came from Europe, had to quarantine in Argentina for a couple of weeks. I mean, some people went to great
Wow.
lengths to make it. So, in one way, that smaller group, I think you can turn it around and say it's a different positive, right? Closer contact, you have longer sales pitches and stuff. So, you got to make lemonade out of lemons, right? And I think they did. I think overall they did, no doubt about it. Well, now that happy note is done, tell me what's going to depress me about the cyber world this week.
You always say this, and I'm going to lead with a story that actually confirms it. So unfortunately, I
Okay,
can't just
thank you.
repeat
Thank you very much.
it. So this week, The Verge shared an article titled "Making Elizabeth Holmes' Cringy Text Public is the Ultimate Crime Deterrent." It so is lots of reaction to this story, understandably so. I don't think any of us would enjoy having our private thoughts and conversations shared publicly, especially in the midst of a criminal trial. But while I would never encourage you all to do anything illegal, this should cause all of us to reflect on how our communications might sound to a third party, and perhaps whether or not our nostalgia for keeping every conversation might just prove unnecessarily harmful. So this also highlights some distinctions between texting and other secure messaging options coupled with ephemeral messaging. So really interesting to see this play out in the headlines, and hopefully it gives everybody something to think about. So Alston and Bird, Executive Women's Forum, and AB Women in Cyber are promoting a panel discussion that we're doing titled Promotion in the Workplace and Strategies for Advancement. This is an incredible panel of brilliant women, and yours truly, moderated by Amy Mushawar at Alston and Bird. It's been rescheduled to October 12th. I'll link it for you guys below. Definitely really good stuff. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be of help to a lot of women, and hopefully a lot of allies in the space to kind of realize what they can do to be a part of that. And in line with that, Craig D'Souza shared McKinsey's study on women in the workplace 2021 with some very disappointing statistics. So I often hear non-affected people tell me how much better things are now, but I'd like to challenge each of us to begin the conversation about how great things could be. So with our corporate environments being a direct reflection of the world that we live in, this should be the first and fastest way for us to make change that reflects the value and contributions of everyone, with an added effort on those who are most negatively impacted and often overlooked: women of color, LGBTQ plus women, and women with disabilities. So these are the groups we lean on heavily for their wisdom and their EQ to get us through the pandemic, and for which this has taken a really heavy toll on their stress levels. So please take the time to read the statistics in the article and learn about ways that we can all help be a part of the solution. ZDNet shared an article titled "We're Still Making Terrible Choices with Passwords, Even Though We Know Better." LastPass shared some statistics from their study. They found that while 92% of the 3,750 people that they surveyed know that using the same password is bad, 65% still do it. So they've also found that 45% of the respondents had not changed their passwords in the last year, even after they had been affected by a data breach. And security for passwords varied by application. While 68% of respondents would create stronger passwords for financial accounts, only 32% said that they would create strong passwords for work-related accounts. Most users are creating passwords that reference personal information that has ties to possible public data, like birthday or home address, and only 8% of respondents said a strong password should not have ties to personal information. So I know that we've taught you all better than that, using nonsensical phrases peppered with numbers and symbols as opposed to individual words to make your passwords longer, stronger, and easier to remember, while also making them more difficult for hackers to crack. So if all this is too cumbersome, Microsoft is trying to make things simpler for us by eliminating passwords altogether with hardware and biometrics. But in the meantime, password managers, unique, complex, and unguessable passwords, pretty please. Chris K shared a Wall Street Journal article titled "A Hospital Hit by Hackers, a Baby in Distress, the Case of the First Alleged Ransomware Death." A tragic case where the hospital refused to pay the ransom when the hacker struck, which is in line with the urgings from the FBI. And while it stretched on for at least 3 weeks, patients were not notified upon their admission to the hospital that there had been any kind of ransomware, and most of the staff was in the dark too. So the article didn't mention the indirect fatality of a woman in the UK last year whose ambulance had to be rerouted to a different facility due to another ransomware attack, which she unfortunately did not survive. This really stresses the need for staff to be familiar with less modern ways to do their jobs and keep people safe in the event that their technology goes down, along with full transparency for the patients and a disaster recovery plan that doesn't take weeks to recover. Dan Williams shared his 15-point cybersecurity awareness checklist. It was a really handy table to provide just a high-level framework for organizations to drill deeper into to ensure that the important bases are being covered. So I'll be sure to link it for you all below. And that's what I have for you this week. Happy October 1st. I hope everybody is getting ready for a happy trick or treat at the end of the month. And it was great, again, to see all of you at GSX. And I look forward to seeing you all next Friday.